Hi there, my name is Ron Rogers, and this presentation is about rental properties. This was a good one. Now, if you've listened to some of my previous videos, you will be getting all the tale of woes about all sorts of trouble I had and issues with renters and people setting the houses on fire and yeah, stuff like that. This one, if I would have stuck with just my first two houses, and most rental properties are owned, well, they used to be by ma and pop type of people, just individuals trying to supplement their retirement. Of course, we've got the big corporations that are buying up, and it's really kind of changing the whole industry and just really jacking up prices amazingly. It's unbelievable. But I bought this property in 2003 for 177.5. I got a slight discount on it because the people in there were going through a divorce and they had already moved out. They had the property rented to a very interesting family. They were extremely hostile. They made it very difficult for the realtor to show the property. Now, the renters that were in the house, I just did not have a good feeling about them. They made it very difficult for the real estate agent to show the property. They were very hostile to me when I was there. It was a woman and three children. There was actually a husband involved, but he had just come back on the scene. And I decided, as a condition of buying the house, that these people had to be out of the house when I took possession because I just didn't have a good feeling about them. And that feeling was later justified because as I was going through cleaning up the house, I found a packet. And in that packet was information about his prison sentence and how long he had been in prison and what he had been in prison for. He apparently, allegedly, no, I think they proved it, he robbed two older ladies in their car, and there were three different classes of felonies that he actually committed. And one of them had to do with the fact that if you commit an act, felonious act, theft against people over 60, that's its own special felony because they're aged. Okay, over 60 is aged. Well, I'm 73. And I fly aerobatics in my open cockpit biplane. I don't like being called aged. But anyway, they were over 60, and so that was one extra class of felony. So I was kind of glad he was out. He wouldn't have passed the background check having a felony anyway. And I just didn't have a good feeling about them. And I got them out, and I ended up getting some good renters. Now, to add value to the property, I finished off the basement. It was kind of interesting. The woman who had been down there had worked at a movie theater, and there were all these posters on the wall. And you're going, man, you covered over those? And I felt bad about that, but they were glued onto the wall, and I tried to remove them, and it wasn't possible. So there are classic posters behind the wall of this when I finished it. And, of course, improved the lighting and stuff like that. Now, in the process of owning this house, we had a hailstorm come through. I actually had four of my rental properties where I had to pay roughly $1,000 each to get new roof and the siding. This one, they just repaired the siding and painted it. But it was kind of a good deal. And I had the roofer tell me, he says, nobody should ever have to pay for a roof up in this area at least, because during the lifetime of the roof, you're going to get one hailstorm and the insurance will pay for it. And I was worried about that, insurance paying for the hailstorm. Is that going to raise my rates? And actually, that is considered an act of God, and it doesn't cause any increase in rate. Although I had four of these, and it was roughly $30,000 or so on these properties. I think it was actually total about $40,000 for all four of them to get the roofs and the siding done. But it was a nice increase in the value of the properties that I didn't have to pay for, and of course maintenance. So I had good renters in there. And in fact, the renter I have in there now is the type of renter you would just love to have. When you get good renters, what I do personally is I keep their rent slightly below market value. It gets kind of hard the way rents increase anyway to keep going up. I guess some people don't have a problem with high percentage increase in rents, but I don't feel good about it. So I keep the rent reasonably. low, and he's getting a decent rent. But I recently sent him notice to raise his rent, and he says, okay, but I want to just let you know that the hot water heater went out, and I found a used one and replaced it on my own. So, renters like that are worth their weight in gold. And he takes care of other little items of maintenance. So he really makes it my life easy. And that's good because it makes it so I have to do very little in this house. So he gets a break on the rent, and I get a reduction in workload. I get a guy who takes care of the house. And actually, it was him and his wife. And in the time he's been in there, his wife unfortunately has passed away. So it's him and his son in there now. But just an excellent renter. And of course, I talked about how I sold the other houses too soon. Well, I still have half of the properties. I ended up getting about 10 properties. Most mom and pop people do like 2 properties, and that's very manageable. 10, yeah, it was getting a little bit difficult to manage, but some of them were managed out of state, so I had somebody else managing it, which has its own set of issues. But I've kept this house, and it's gone up nicely. Like I said, I purchased it for $177,500 in 2003, and now Zillow says it's worth $272 in 2024. And I will eventually, I'm 73 going on 74 this year. I'll eventually want to retire from this. But it's kind of a no-brainer. I don't really have much to do, but eventually I want to pull this money out and settle these things up. But for now, this one just is kind of a turnkey operation that runs without me really have to do much of anything. Like I said, if you've heard about the other properties, I've gotten rid of my troublesome properties, and I've kept the good ones. And they're going around nicely, and happy with it. And we'll see how the future does. I do want to get rid of these because the last thing I want to do is suddenly pass away and dump all of this into my wife, who's really not been involved in it. That would not be a kind thing to do. I've often told her, if I were to die early, you'd kill me because you'd be upset with me. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little tale of not woe this time, how things actually worked out well. So anyway, thanks for watching.